Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 29th at about 5:30 in the morning. Back with you for another session on expansion, and that's all we're going to do today. Very little talk. We're going to get right into it. If you need an explanation about this technique, you can look at the previous sessions on the Scanning Facebook page, SQANNING, and you'll see a lot more explanation than we're going to do today. We're just going to get right into it. What we're going to do is to begin expanding. So start by taking 3 deep breaths, followed by 15 seconds of absolute stillness and silence. Here we go. Absolute stillness. Don't move a muscle, but continue to breathe. Deep breath. And that's all there is to it. You've begun to expand. Breaths are expansive, stillness is expansive, silence is expansive. So we'll extend that. We're going to go now into 5 deep breaths, followed by 30 seconds of absolute stillness and silence. Don't move a muscle. Absolute stillness, but continue to breathe. 5 deep breaths, 30 seconds, absolute stillness and silence. Here we go. Seconds, absolute stillness, silence. Don't move a muscle, but continue to breathe. Deep breath. And take a moment to register what, if any, changes you are experiencing as a result of these expansive steps. You're moving from a state of contraction into a state of expansion through deep breaths, stillness, and silence. These are what I call the preliminary steps in expansion. Now we're going to take it even further, expand even further. We're going to take 7 deep breaths, followed by a full minute, 60 seconds of absolute stillness and silence. 7 deep breaths. Here we go. Last one. Full minute, 60 seconds, absolute stillness and silence. Continue to breathe. Deep breath. So experiment with these and see what effect they have, if any, on you. What you're looking for is a sense of change, that something has shifted. You've moved from thinking, doing, acting, speaking, worrying, to stillness, silence, emptiness, nothingness, calm. We're moving the dial from a contracted to an expanded state. That's all we're doing. Simple steps. Deep breaths, stillness, and silence. Use any one of them. Take deep breaths. That's enough. Sit in stillness and silence. That's enough. If you are like me and have a mind that races constantly, you'll find that by concentrating on these expansive steps, your brain, which generates thoughts, will also expand, and like the grip it has on these thoughts will begin to release, and they will float away, and you will be left in a state of mental calmness, peace. So that's all we're doing. That's the preliminary steps: deep breaths, stillness, and silence. Now we move into what I call the nuts and bolts of the technique, which is muscular release. I define expansion, this technique, as the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. So just like with the breaths, we're expanding. With muscular release, 3, 2, 1, release, we're expanding. We're releasing muscular tension. This can be very incremental. Small amounts are very effective. I say this so as to encourage you not to be discouraged if you don't feel immediate or dramatic results. We're moving incrementally towards expansion. Any amount of expansion is away from contraction. You can't grip a muscle and release a muscle at the same time. When you choose to release muscular tension, you are expanding. No matter how small, it's cumulative. The more you do it, it adds up. A penny is just a penny until you have 100 of them, and then it's $1. So just keep adding small amounts. We start with the face. On my count, release all the muscular tension you can in your face. 3, 2, 1, and release. And that sensation of is expansion. That's all we're going to do. We're going to move through the body. I used to call this technique scanning, because you're scanning the body, searching for pockets of muscular tension and releasing them. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. If you're new to this, you may find it odd to be searching for pockets of tension and releasing that tension, but it is the core, it is the root of this technique. So if you're not completely successful with it initially, stay with it, practice, you'll get better and better till you can release muscular tension on demand. And you will no longer need alcohol or drugs, what I call external expansive tools, to release, to relax, because that's what we all want to do, is relax and feel better. You'll be able to do it yourself. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. It takes tension to hold an expression. When you release that tension, 3, 2, 1, and released. You've stopped exerting any or all energy. Another side benefit of expansion is that it gives you a lot more energy. You're not so exhausted by holding this constant low-level muscular tension, which takes work. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. What I call zone 2, top of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. And I always describe it as a feeling of someone broke an egg on the top of your head and you feel your muscles just sag over the top of your skull. So again, if you're new to this, search for an understanding of how this release feels. That's what you want to get better and better at. 3, 2, 1, the face. Top of the head, 3, 2, 1, and. So if you had a crinkled up shirt full of starch sitting on top of your head, it's as if you've sprayed it with water and the creases have started to relax and it's starting to just hang over your body. That's muscular release. Zone 3, the back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. And I often describe that sensation as if you had a rubber band, a large rubber band, stretched across the back of your head and you let it go and it just sags and hangs. The back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. All 3, face, top of the head, back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a deep breath. And people always say, well, if it's so hard to release, why, when someone tells me to just relax, do I get so tense? Well, because relaxation, release, expansion can be frightening. We hold tension, we hold muscular tension as a means of protection, like a suit of armor. To let go of that, to drop that, is to feel vulnerable and exposed. And that's why we do it incrementally. We don't want to terrify ourselves. We don't want to drop everything. We want to begin to ease into this expanded state until your body begins to sense that it is safe. There's no risk. In fact, it's even safer because you're more available when you're relaxed. You're more effective. But we inch into it. We ease into it. Zone 4 is the neck. On my count, release whatever muscular tension you can in your neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, the neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. And what I'm doing during the count is focusing my attention on that area. 3, 2, 1, experiencing whatever I feel, good or bad, in that muscular area. And then on my count, you're going to release all muscular tension in the neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. And the snap is as if I'd turned off the power to those muscles. It takes energy, power to contract a muscle. 3, 2, 1, and release. That's all you're doing. And we practice this technique, what again I used to call scanning, but now just call expansion, to get better and better at it. The neck. 3, 2, 1, and release. Zone 5 is the shoulders. 3, 2, 1, let them drop and release. We break the body into zones so that we can more clearly isolate and identify particular muscle groups. It's easier than just saying to the whole body, relax. We go, I'm just going to focus on this and this. And you're learning to focus, to pay attention to these muscular groups, to build a consciousness of what they feel like when they're contracted and what they feel like when they're released. You become the master of your own universe. You're the conductor of the orchestra that is your body. The shoulders, let them drop. 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a deep breath. And another. One more. 15 seconds stillness and silence. Continue to breathe. Deep breath. You're taking yourself to a place where ideally you have no thoughts, no worries, no concerns, no concept of the future or the past. You are in the moment, in the now, experiencing yourself as a pure physical being, experiencing your heart beating, experiencing the feel of your breath, inhalation, exhalation, the sensations of the air of the room on your skin. You're simply in the moment. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. Many, many forms of meditation and spiritual practice come back to these same concepts because they're true. This is one approach. If you have your own, I suggest you stay with it. But we're all trying to do the same thing, trying to find balance in our lives. We work very hard during the day to contract, to create things, to bring together thoughts, materials, ideas, people, worries, concerns about the future, the past. This is contraction. These are thoughts, ideas. And we become overly contracted. All we're doing with this technique is expanding, letting go of all that, letting go of muscular tension, thoughts, ideas, words, concerns, materials, concepts, ego, our sense of self, our identity. We're letting go of all of that to come to a place of nothingness until we are what is called centered or balanced. We have equal amounts of both. That's what it is to be a human being, to contract and expand, to contract and expand. We get into trouble, or what I simply call feeling bad, when we become overly contracted. So these exercises are designed to bring you back to an expanded and then finally a more centered place. Deep breaths, stillness and silence, muscular release. Simple, done. Again, the shoulders, let them drop. 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. Moving into what I call, you can identify your own muscular zones, what I call zone 6, chest, stomach, front of the waist. 3, 2, 1, and release. And if you find yourself thinking, I can't do that, I don't know how to release muscular tension. Yes, you do. Do what I do right here. Squeeze your hands together. 3, 2, 1, release. You did it. 3, 2, 1, and release. You have that power, that capacity. You're just learning how to use it in a different way. that you're perhaps not practiced in or used to doing. What it is mastering the technique, mastering this expansive process so that you can utilize it to your benefit on demand when you need to. Zone 7, down the back and into the pelvis. And just focus on that area. 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. And the pelvis is an interesting area because what do we frequently fear most in life? Losing control, particularly in that area. So releasing muscular tension in that area, 3, 2, 1, release, often brings up feelings of anxiety or concern because of the obvious results of loss of control. But you can release a lot of muscular tension and still be in complete control of your faculties and all those important aspects of your life that you feel need to be controlled. So don't worry about that. Just see what you can do. 3, 2, 1, and release. This is just an exploration. Just exploring, scanning your body, looking for pockets of tension to be released and see where that takes you, hopefully into a more expanded state. And I always say, take note after each of these steps of any changes you feel or experience. What does it feel like to expand? How does that feel? Can I replicate it? Can I do it again? Can I take it further? What is it like in comparison to the opposite, contracted? Just make note. You begin to build a consciousness of where you are at any given moment in life on this contraction-expansion continuum. Am I more contracted or expanded? How can I work to get more expanded? That's all we're doing. The pelvis, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a deep breath. And another. Hopefully at the end of this session or your own personal sessions, you will just have moved the dial. Doesn't matter if it's 1 degree or 50 degrees or 100 degrees. Pat yourself on the back if you've moved the dial 1 degree. Because when you're expanding, you can't contract. You can't make a fist and release a fist at the same time. So give yourself credit for even the smallest amount of expansion. Final zone, down the legs, cross the knees and into the feet. Take a moment to focus on your feet. 3, 2, 1, and release. And muscular release can feel like any number of things. For me, sometimes it feels like opening a door, unwrapping, stretching out, spreading out. There's all sorts of ways to describe it. Identify for yourself what that sensation feels like. Study it, note it, so that you can replicate it. Again, the feet, 3, 2, 1, and release. You'll be surprised how much muscular tension you hold in any one of these areas. And it's only when you actually focus on that area and make the determination that it is time to release that you suddenly are aware of how much tension you were holding. I practice this technique a lot, and I'm still always amazed at how when I begin the process, how much tension I've actually been holding that I wasn't even consciously aware of. That's why it's good to practice even when you don't feel it like, because it's amazing how much contraction has become part of our life, a habit, as I call it. It's a good habit. We need to know how to contract. We need to know how to make things, to do things, to take action. And what we're trying to do here with these sessions and with your personal practice is to build the opposite habit, letting go, releasing, opening up, going to nothingness, emptiness, helping you understand the value of that opposite practice so that you can infuse your life with as much expansion as you do expansion, and again, come to a place where you are centered and balanced. So the feet, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, the 3, 2, 1, the feet, and release. Take a deep breath. So it's been about a half an hour. These sessions are instructional by nature. They're meant to basically remind you of how the technique works. I move through the process very quickly, quicker than I would in my own personal session, just as a means to get through the points I'd like to cover. But in your own practice, please take as much time as you can until you're not concerned about time. Time is a construct, a human construct. Before humans came into existence and invented clocks and minute hands and hours, there was nothing. There was just life. So it's a construct, it's a contraction, it's a valuable contraction, but it is one which, as you begin to expand, you will sense that you are able to let go of until you come to a timeless place. And time won't matter. You won't be in such a hurry. You won't judge or gauge things by how much time they took. Did I do it fast enough? Was I too slow? Did I, quote unquote, waste my time? Time will be something that will no longer have as much importance in the moment. So I say that as a long-winded way of saying, take your time. Take your time. It's an interesting expression. Take your time and use it as you see fit, not as the world or others see fit. And that can include using your time to expand. Take a deep breath. If and when you come to a place where you've lost track of time, where you're no longer concerned about time, where you're not watching the clock, where you're not judging how you spent your time, where you have in fact forgotten what time it is, you will indeed have moved yourself into an expanded place. And that's the goal. Now, you don't want to live there. You can't be there 24 hours a day. You have to go to work. You have to maintain your relationships. You have to build things, do things. That's life. But it's nice to be able to visit that place of emptiness and silence and stillness and timelessness at least a couple of times a day. And that's what we're trying to do. That's it for today. Thanks. I'll repost it on my Facebook page for the day, then take it down. I'll put it on the Scanning Facebook page after that. I believe it's still spelled S-Q-A-N-N-I-N-G. There's also a YouTube Scanning page. Sometimes I spelled it S-C-A-N-N-I-N-G. In the end, it doesn't matter. Titles, words, names just don't matter. What we're trying to do is let go of all that. But as a reference, it's sometimes useful. So thanks again. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.